From Vermont Public, this is The Frequency. I'm Mitch Wertley. It's Friday, May 30th, and here are today's headlines. Most construction projects along Vermont's lake shores are on pause for the next few weeks, and that's because it's the spring fish spawning season. Misha Setner is an ecologist with the Vermont Department of Environmental Conservation. Wednesday on Vermont Edition, he described what the state's frisky fish get up to this time of year.
You've got fish laying egg masses, and once those egg masses hatch, you've got fish fry that are out there. They're very small and very susceptible to impacts from like turbidity or any kind of physical disruption to that environment.
Projects that are typically not allowed between March 15th and July 1st include dredging, boathouse construction, and other work that disturbs the lakebed. Vermont's amphibians are benefiting from protection as well, that according to a University of Vermont study. The research shows that wildlife underpass tunnels dramatically reduce deaths of amphibians migrating across roads. In studies spanning more than a decade, scientists and citizens assessed the effectiveness of 2 wildlife underpasses installed under a road in Moncton. The results showed an 80% reduction in the deaths of frogs, salamanders, and other amphibians, according to the university. Amphibians face a range of threats, including a devastating fungus, climate change, habitat loss, and road mortality. The Rutland City School Board voted unanimously this week to ratify a teachers' union contract. The Rutland Education Association, which represents teachers, voted in favor of ratification last week. Tuesday's vote follows a year and a half of negotiations that nearly resulted in a strike earlier this month. The new contract includes annual pay bumps for teachers through the 2026-27 school year, plus back pay for this current school year. NBC5 reports the new contract stipulates that no staff will be fired and 8 open positions will not be filled in the upcoming school year. The announcement this week that the CDC is no longer recommending COVID shots for healthy children and pregnant women could impact access to the vaccine. Dr. Brenda Anders-Pring, president of the state chapter of the American Academy of Pediatrics, says they might soon not be able to get the latest shot.
The vaccines that's in circulation right now are for an older strain, and there's a new one that's been approved for the fall. So as a parent myself, I am starting to think about, well, what do I do for my kids? They've had boosters every year. And are they going to get their booster with their flu shot this fall? Sounds like it's going to be harder to find.
Anders-Pring says it's not yet clear what impact the CDC order will have on insurance coverage for the COVID vaccine. In announcing the change, Secretary of Health and Human Services Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said the clinical data did not support the need for healthy children to get COVID shots. But Anders-Pring says the COVID vaccine has been proven to be safe and effective, and that parents are being subjected to a lot of misinformation. Vermont State University's first president is retiring. David Berg will step down at the end of the next academic year. Berg spent 19 years at Johnson State College. He then returned to Vermont in 2023 to lead the newly unified Vermont State University, which was created by merging Castleton University, Northern Vermont University, and Vermont Technical College. Enrollment has increased at VSU every year. The majority of students hail from Vermont. Officials will conduct a national search for Berg's successor. And coming up, Vermont Edition host Michaela Lafrac looks forward to something that's a rite of spring for her, cleaning and reorganizing her home. She spent some time recently with 2 Vermont home organizing experts, and we'll hear some of their tips for doing the job with efficiency and even a bit of fun. That's after this. Some of us spend our spring gardening. Others reconnect with friends. And a few of us, like Vermont Edition's Michaela Lafrac, derive actual joy from spring cleaning. Recently, on Vermont Edition, 2 professional home organizers joined Michaela to share their best spring cleaning tips. They are Amy Davis of Georgia, Vermont, and Sarah Thompson of St. George. We're going to play you an excerpt of their conversation, but if you'd like to hear the full thing, you can find it on Vermont Edition's podcast feed or at vermontpublic.org. The conversation begins with Sarah Thompson describing the popularity of home organizing TV shows like Tidying Up with Marie Kondo and The Home Edit.
You know, obviously all home organizers are coming in to declutter and get rid of things, but I think some things that may be missed in some of those shows is the emotional component that goes into helping a person really think through how they're feeling about what they own and how they want to feel in their space once it's organized. So there is the action of decluttering, but there's also a big element of supporting them in their emotional process.
I feel like there's also a sense of shame that can come with having what you feel like is too much stuff, holding on to things for too long, maybe worrying that you're going to be leaving somebody else with the burden of cleaning up after you. Spring cleaning can be very fun to talk about, but I also imagine it like makes people's hearts race a little bit. Amy, do you come across that in your work?
I do. Usually the first time I meet with someone, there's kind of an apologetic embarrassment vibe. I'm so sorry I have all this stuff and I can't believe I got to this point. And I feel like Sarah said, there's the emotional part of helping them through that journey of realizing that it's not the items that you have a connection to, that it's the story behind them, or that there's more to it than it just being a thing.
Let's talk about some of the kind of lasting lessons that you try to impart after meeting with somebody. Say you help somebody clean out, that black hole of a room in their house or that one terrible closet, and they say, like, I don't want this to happen again. Like, how do I keep myself from calling you in a year saying, that closet has filled up with junk again? What are some of the basic tips that you share with a client like that, Amy?
Well, it's kind of like working out. You can't just do it once and then be done. You have to keep maintaining it. You're never going to stop buying things. So my rule that I use for myself is 1 in, 1 or 2 or 3 out. So I buy myself a new shirt and I have 1 or 2 that go to be donated. Also, keeping your space defined. So I have a specific drawer for workout gear, for example. When it's full, something needs to go. Not allowing myself to just keep buying space to store things. I think those are probably the 2 of the biggest ones that make the most impact.
Sarah, what are some of your basics for keeping a space decluttered?
I think that maintenance is the key. It's once you get it set to a place that works for you, instead of letting things build up to a momentous task, having it be something that is part of your daily or weekly rhythm. And a perfect example of that is laundry. Like that's pretty much the number one thing that people struggle with is keeping on top of laundry. So I said, okay, well, let's get it down to, you've got 1 basket of laundry. Now do 1 load every day. Wash, fold, dry, put away. That takes 12 minutes. But to do 7 loads of laundry is overwhelming. So I try to help people find the places that they can get these rhythms that only take a few minutes a day so that they can easily maintain their systems.
We just got an email from a listener named Shannon with a question for the 2 of you. Shannon writes, my mom passed away when I was 22, and she was a single parent. I'm 38 now, so it's been a long time. We kept our childhood home and many items I've kept of my mother's that were sentimental to me, but are oddly useless. Do you find that there is a limit to what is a normal amount of things to keep from a family member who has passed away? Am I crazy for keeping this stuff? Are there any ideas you have for how I can make these items more meaningful and useful than just sitting in boxes? Well, Shannon, thank you so much for sharing that with us. I can imagine a lot of our listeners relate to how you're feeling about your mother's items. Sarah, let's start with you. Do you have suggestions for her?
It is such a beautiful question and one that I get a lot. I think the important thing when you're thinking about your things that you have from a loved one who's passed is, does it strengthen your relationship with them? Or is it just stuff? Because it seems like maybe you have a lot of things that belonged to her, and you can pick the things that make you remember her with joy or special memories, but not every single thing that a person owned is necessarily special. And in fact, just sitting in a box might have a negative impact in that it might feel like a burden just sitting in a closet somewhere. And that doesn't strengthen your bond and relationship with that loved one.
Being in the box isn't helping at all. It's just like Sarah said, it's a burden. So what I encourage clients to do is to put something on display or use it even better that turkey platter that is so important to your mom. Maybe use that for a charcuterie board or something, and try to use it more often so that you can have that memory with you rather than in the box collecting dust.
Those were the professional home organizers Amy Davis of Georgia, Vermont, and Sarah Thompson of St. George on Vermont Edition's recent show about spring cleaning. And now it's time for us to spring into news from the world of sports. And it's a good thing the NBA and NHL playoffs are still going on, so I don't have to start with Major League Baseball and this year's baffling, maddening, and just downright disappointing Boston Red Sox. Bit of a heads up, though, we'll have to get there eventually. But for now, let's offer well-deserved accolades to the NBA's Oklahoma City Thunder and the NHL's Florida Panthers, who this week booked their respective trips to the finals, and in the case of Florida, they're heading in as defending champs. It's the third year in a row the team from Sunrise has made it to the Stanley Cup Finals, earning their first title last year in a thrilling 7-game series against the Edmonton Oilers, who they may be facing again depending on whether Edmonton was able to put away the Dallas Stars in Game 5 in Texas last night. I hope that's the case because a rematch of Oilers-Panthers would be fascinating, especially with former Boston Bruins captain Brad Marchand now skating with Florida and proving at age 37 that he is still one of the best players in hockey. It was Marchand who set up a go-ahead goal against Carolina in Florida's 5-3 series-clinching win against the Canes in Raleigh. And even though that didn't turn out to be the game winner, that's an honor that went to Carter Verhaeghe, who now boasts an astonishing 12 playoff game-winning goals for his career. Marchand has proven to be an extremely shrewd trade pickup for Florida. Hey, at least the Bruins got a Florida first-round draft pick out of the Marchand trade, which would have to turn into a future Hall of Fame player, as Marchand is, to come even close to providing equal value, but it's better than nothing. Now, if Edmonton does make the finals, Florida will have to contend with a very hungry for his first cup Connor McDavid, who is simply put the best hockey player on planet Earth. If you haven't seen him skate, you really should. You'll swear the images you're seeing have been artificially speeded up every time he touches the puck. And you'll need slow-motion replay to track the wrist shot he gets off so quickly that the puck seems to materialize in the back of the net before even leaving his stick. But the Oilers lost one of their top forwards, Zach Hyman, when he was injured in Game 4 against Dallas, and he's done for the season. That's a big blow to Edmonton's chances. Plus, their goalie Stuart Skinner is at times brilliant and at others so leaky he's been pulled from games, and Edmonton won't have the luxury of giving away a game or two to poor goaltending against a team as deep and battle-tested as Florida. The call here is Panthers in 6 if it is a series against Edmonton, and if Dallas somehow finds a way to skate past the Oilers, I see Florida taking that matchup in 5. As for the Oklahoma City Thunder, they simply ran the Minnesota Timberwolves out of the playoffs in Game 5 Wednesday night with a 124-94 win that really should have been stopped after the first quarter with the equivalent of a T-ball mercy rule. The Thunder led by 33 points at the half, and with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander looking like a combination of Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and Larry Bird all rolled into one, I can't see either the New York Knicks or Indiana Pacers, one of whom will face the Thunder in the finals, being able to take them down. Here's hoping the Pacers were able to pull off a 5-game upset over New York with a win at Madison Square Garden last night, but my guess is the Knicks found a way to force a Game 6 back in Indiana. If the Pacers don't get the job done then, I can't see them taking a winner-take-all Game 7 back in the Big Apple. Indiana's Tyrese Halliburton, who set an NBA record in Game 4 by becoming the first player ever to record a triple-double in the playoffs without committing a single turnover, would no doubt disagree. Okay, I can't put it off any longer. We need to talk about the Red Sox. A team that was supposed to take a great leap forward from the forever 500 squad that missed the playoffs again last year is somehow looking even worse this season with about a quarter of the games already in the books. They sputtered out of a 5-5 homestand with 2 straight losses to the last-place Baltimore Orioles, then lost 3 in a row in Milwaukee, the last 2 in extra innings that saw them blow late leads, run into outs on the base paths, and basically look like a version of the Bad News Bears minus the lovable loser charm of the kids or the snarky wit of manager Walter Matthau. And at some point you have to wonder if real-life Boston manager Alex Cora will start taking some heat for pulling starters from games too early and overtaxing the bullpen, which is showing cracks in the walls of the dam after long stretches of holding back the water. It's not Cora's fault that Alex Bregman and Tristan Casas suffered major injuries that are having an effect on the team's record, but a lot of Boston's recent defeats were snatched from the jaws of victory by just bad fundamentals, like failing to move base runners into scoring position with less than 2 outs. and mental errors that even first-year big leaguers should have worked out of their systems in the minors. Speaking of the minors, if this season is already really tanked, I would bring up highly touted prospect Roman Anthony from Worcester to join Christian Campbell and Marcelo Meyer and give all the rookies as much experience in the show as they can get right now so they can be more seasoned for next year, because the future seems to be the only reason for Red Sox fans to pay any attention to the present. And that's our weekly look at news from the world of sports. Thanks for listening to The Frequency today. We had additional reporting from Michaela Lafrac, Mark Davis, Jen Jarecki, and the New England News Collaborative. Today's episode was edited by Mark Davis, and our music is by Blue Dot Sessions. I'm Mitch Wertlieb. Talk to you tomorrow.
Planet Money helps you understand the economy. We find the people at the center of the story.
Garbage in New York, that was like a controlled substance.
We show you how money influences everything.
Tell me what you like by telling me how you spend your money.
And we dig until we get answers.
I had a bad feeling you were going to bring that up.
Planet Money finds out. All you have to do is listen. The Planet Money Podcast from NPR.